good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk. This is episode 402. So definitely want to send a special shout out to everybody who has been along the ride uh, throughout the entirety of the show. Part of it, there's been so many shows it almost seems like it has its own era. Like there's certain eras of time where the subject matter, the topics, the different people. There's almost like different classes, like almost like high school, like different classes who have come through this particular show. But I'm proud to say that it's still going. Uh, Unmatched. There's been no day off. There's been 402 straight episodes if we include this one, and I must say it's been a wild ride. It's definitely been a positive experience, and we're gonna keep this energy going because the information needs to get out. It needs to be circulating, and I want it to be of help and of support to you, not only in your dating life, but to help you achieve that internal unconditional happiness that we all deserve. So special shout out to all of my supporters, everybody who's been donating, everybody who has been a part of this process. Much appreciated. Now, I also want to say rest in paradise to my granddad, who actually passed this week. I got the news this morning, and so it's been a rocky day. Been a lot going on today, but wanted to send my family some energy, and also to say how much of an impact he made on my life personally. He broke a lot of barriers. He was a general in the U.S. Army, and also an executive at Caesar's Palace in Atlantic City. Did a lot for the city, did a lot for the family, the community, and was a great representative and example of high achievement. So rest in peace to my granddad, man, Mr. K. Granddaddy K, also known as Teddy in some circles. But shout out to him. And so tonight I wanted to discuss the effects of gaslighting. The term has been floating around a lot. It's something that's been utilized, just in conversations about dating a lot. So, let's get to the bottom of what it is and the effects and the psychology behind why somebody would utilize this weapon or this type of manipulation. So where does the term gaslighting come from? So if you actually if you don't know, it comes from a stage play, a British stage play that was created or first performed in 1938. I believe the man's name was Patrick Hamilton, and the play was basically about a husband and wife. The husband wanted to manipulate his wife into thinking she was insane, so he did different things in the house to plant seeds of doubt in her mind as far as her own perception and her own reality. So, the term gaslight, comes from him dimming the lights in the house and then acting as if he didn't do it, or acting as if she's losing her mind. So basically, it's a play on perception, and that term has went on to be used in relationships. So what does it mean today? In today's use, it means basically manipulation and a similar vibe. Basically, when you or when someone or a partner is trying to sow seeds of doubt in their partner as far as what's real and what's not. So to doubt their own perception of reality, and to basically make somebody feel like they're crazy. In all actuality, it's designed and used to make the other person feel crazy. So you may ask, why? Why would somebody need somebody else to feel like they're crazy? Well, it comes from a profound lack in accountability, and a fear of being accountable for one's actions, and maybe the way one comes across, for someone's communication, for someone's mistakes, for someone's infidelity. So let's kind of unpack that, right? So in relationships, most people, when they say their previous partners or ex, has gaslighted them, they pretty much mean that there's been situations or times where, they have been made to feel as if their gripes or their complaint to their partner, or whatever they approach their partner about, was not real, didn't happen, and was made up. So that person absolves themselves of any blame, and you're left picking up the pieces and trying to figure out, did you actually perceive what you perceived? Are you blowing it out of proportion? Are you exaggerating something that's not very important? Are you doing too much? Are you doing the most? And tonight I want to talk about the effects of that, because we're going to talk about why it happens and why, partners who gaslight do so and what they get out of it. Besides, because let's be honest, let's be clear, right? It's not just because, not in all cases, but it's not just because I want to get out of lying to you, or I want to cover my tracks. At a deeper level, if this is something that is, being utilized compulsively over time, in some cases, it's way deeper than that. In some cases, it's an effort to avoid the vulnerability of being flawed. So if you have a narcissist and you think of gaslighting, a lot of times the two are tied together. There's a reason for that. When you think of the narcissist, you think of somebody who has created a high level of defenses and a grandiose personality and image that they have to maintain. And anything that makes them feel negative, flawed, human, in the spotlight, corrected by somebody else, the defenses automatically come up. And those defenses come up because this person was once vulnerable before. Because you may think, okay, just admit it and move on. Everybody can't do that. The reason is, when you think of the narcissist, this is somebody, and I'll do further broadcasts on this as well, but you're thinking of somebody who, as a child, was treated a certain way when they were vulnerable. So their vulnerability became something that they hated and grew to fight against. So they started to create these different defenses, a whole new personality type, a whole new image, basically, that they portray and that they have to maintain, right? So when you check them on something, and to admit being wrong is the same as being vulnerable, and being vulnerable, the last time that happened to them was probably in a traumatic space, or a childhood environment that either abandoned them, neglected them, or used them, for a certain gain. If you think of certain households, some families don't invest love in their kids, but they may use them to boost their own image and kind of push them into fields or careers that they don't like, but that honor the family name or the legacy or whatever it is. And that person's values are ignored, but their they're shown attention based on a false reality in a lot of ways. So that they may be either abandoned and not loved at all, or loved only when it benefits the parents, only when they can show them off and honor themselves based on that person's accomplishments, or whatever they do. So this would explain why accountability is so hard for some people. Because gaslighting, it takes a lot of work for somebody who doesn't have a problem with being accountable. If you're a person who can be accountable and atone for your own actions, you look at gaslighting like a lot of damn work. You look at it like, well, wow, so you're gonna create 15 lies and all these illusions. It's like a mastery of it's like a whole magic show. You're creating all of these different images and lies and things like that. And after you do all of that, you have to maintain that back to back in order not to be found out. So it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of energy to the average person, but to somebody who makes gaslighting a habit and who is afraid of the vulnerability that comes with accountability, it's a way of life. Creating defenses is a way of life, especially in partnerships. You know why? Because who is the person that can make you feel the most vulnerable? A partner, a long-term commitment partner, somebody who you're in a relationship with. A coworker can't break your heart. The cashier at Whole Foods can't break your heart. But a husband or a wife can. They can destroy you. Not to say that they would, but there's a high risk. When you put your heart out there, there's a high risk, and it looks even higher to those who have grown up in environments where that vulnerability was taken advantage of and that love was compromised or non-existent, right? So for me, I always trace it back. I don't look at dating habits in a vacuum. I trace them all the way back. Where did these habits come from? Either A, why are you doing this to people? Or B, if you're not on the perpetrator side, if you're on the victim side, why are you enduring this? Why are you going through this? Why are you in a relationship for years with somebody who does this to you on a daily, weekly basis? The question goes both sides, because in order for that person to be considered evil, they would have to be evil with somebody, or nobody would know. They would have to be abusive in some ways to a partner, but nobody would know if there was no partner. There would have to be a partner to report on it. So that means that there has to be two people involved. And so, it really comes down to not really trying to understand or change. Well, I'll help you with the understanding part, but it's not about changing them. It's really, if you're on the victim side of this, it's really about figuring out why am I in here? What am I getting out of it? Why am I attracted? What pulls me in? And how do I fulfill those voids without an outside party? Because otherwise, if just like they're wounded, you're wounded in some kind of way as well. Because under the most healthy circumstances, these people don't get past the second date, let alone 1-2 years of a relationship. They don't make it past go and collect $200 or none of that. And a lot of the reasons behind it, can tend to be rescuer mentality, trying to heal, trying to fix somebody who is broken, and pouring yourself into a project, pouring yourself into helping to reconstruct this person, helping to make the Grinch's heart grow bigger or something. like, just trying to have that fairy tale ending where, Beauty and the Beast, you just gonna rub up on him, and all that hair gonna go back inside of his neck, and you know what I mean, he gonna start ripping his clothes and look like a regular person. And I would say that goes to your detriment. If you're somebody with that mindset and that view, you will die in the process of pursuing love. You will zap any love, and diminish any love inside of you by searching for and trying to extract the love from somebody whose heart has run cold over decades of time. You weren't even around this person when the initial situations happen, yet you are now being punished as a consequence. You are now being punished as a consequence of you being connected to this person. And so the true healing begins on the other side. The true healing begins when you realize that, okay, this is why I am attracted. This is why I'm connected to this person, because I find that I search for love in people who won't give it to me, or in people who don't have it themselves, or who don't have it for themselves. And that's really the thing we got to really look at is that, what did our first environments, our childhood environments, what did they teach us, right? Did they teach us that love comes with a lot of sacrifice? Did it teach us that love, we get love by choosing people who have problems with love? Do we choose? Did it teach us that we have to fight for love? Did it teach us that we have to endure pain to get love, or at least to get the idea or the possibility of some love on the back end? Does love come with pain all the time? And I think that's why we find ourselves in a lot of these relationships, because we have this idea coming from our whatever environment we came from, that love is not secure, or that abandonment is likely. So we have to expect that to happen, and we have to fight against that. And that puts us in a space where we try to control people, right? I'm actually going to be doing a broadcast pretty soon on people pleasers, and just how abandonment is connected to that. A lot of times people feel like, in order to avoid abandonment, I have to do everything for people to keep them around. And that's not the case. You can't control another human being. Neither can the narcissist. If we're really looking at it, the control, the fight for control happens on the victim side and the perpetrator side. The narcissist, or the person who is gaslighting, that person's trying to control your perception and your reality, right? And the empath is trying to disarm the narcissist by helping, doing, supporting, and giving 135% of themselves to this person. So both parties are out of control. I look for the commonalities in the process, and both parties are out of control and on a voracious hunt for control over other. But the control starts here, and what we need to really start to realize that the true power is internal. We can control who we attract and who shows up on the outside once we control what's operating on the inside. You'll hear me say it a lot. The elements we carry around. A lot of times people who gaslight have self-destructive mindsets. They have been either verbally abused or taught that they weren't valuable. so they feel the need to send that energy back to their partner and make them feel like they're not valuable. That's why they're willing to sacrifice your sanity in order to not be accountable. We got to think about this. People that say they love you, who gaslight, are essentially saying that I'd rather you lose your mind based on my lies rather than me sit up and admit to something I actually did. So that's not love. Love isn't being sacrificed. Love isn't being punished for crimes you didn't commit, but for crimes that were committed by maybe family members in their initial upbringing, right? That's old wounds. And gaslighting is part of that punishment mechanism. Some people take pain and allow it to eat them alive and search for more pain and more destruction, more shame and more guilt. Some people endure pain and that twists them into a mindset that they have to punish those closest to them. So some take it and send it back. Some take it and bottle it until it destroys them from the inside. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. The same thing goes for emotions. So this is just the way I look at it, right? You know, it's when it comes to dating relationships, it's way deeper than you think, and it's you know, my passion and my purpose, and I always love just analyzing the processes, couples and things like that, and just the dating process, because I got to take it back to mental health. I got to take it back to life purpose and these different things, because it's deeper than just the dating pool's whack or a lot of people manipulate or everybody's lying. It's way deeper than that when we're talking about, you know, just reality and your personal happiness. I take that very seriously. You know, helping you all to progress, helping you all to reach happiness without having to need somebody else to create that for you. Because every time we go on a hunt for happiness externally, we lose. People who think that money will make them happy, they lose. People who think that the partner will make them happy, the possessions will make them happy, the job, nothing is going to make you happy, because happy is a mindset that first starts with getting yourself to a whole state. It's very hard to be happy with old wounds that are still open, because old wounds need to fill them. It's like the void filling. When you have voids, they scream to be filled, and then that's when you start to look externally for ways to fill that. And a lot of times, people, you know, some people get that fear of loneliness, right? And what it means, what it's symbolic of. And a lot of times those fears compound. So you may feel lonely on a certain day and then start projecting into the future and saying, damn, am I going to be like this for the rest of my life? Is everybody, you know, untrustworthy? Is everybody disloyal? Does everybody cheat? Does everybody manipulate? Does everybody lack in communication skills? Is everybody afraid of commitment, right? And then these thoughts start traveling. And then that's how you kind of lose, you know, mentally becomes really hard for you to stay grounded. So it starts with us, you know, and when we think about just gaslighting, period, it's a symptom of a larger issue. You know, that's why no matter how often or how hard you try to get through to that person, get them to change, get them to understand you, plead your case. That's why they're so good at having those defenses, being callous, being cold-hearted. This has been a way of life and a way of coping and defending for years before you met. This is something that they've been mastering for close to a lifetime, because I would argue that a lot of the origins happen in those early years of life, and things get worse over time. A lot of times, some people say, "Well, time heals all wounds." I don't believe that. I think that in some cases, certain wounds get worse over time if they're not addressed, and the momentum isn't shifted, and the awareness isn't there, the introspection isn't there. They don't get the outside help that they might need. um, they get more and more used to the routine of treating people this way and being self-destructive at the same time, and out of touch, with reality, out of touch with intimacy. If we're thinking about somebody, who's actively gaslighting, there's likely additional issues with them being able to be emotionally intimate with somebody. I'm not talking about just having sex with your partner. I'm talking about the actual emotional intimacy, because the gaslighting is a fear of intimacy and vulnerability. So if they fear that enough to make you feel crazy, they probably fear the power and the risk that comes with being emotionally intimate with a partner long term. Like I said, they can get their heart broken by a partner that they've been in a long term relationship with, or shared what they thought was love with. Because love in the romantic sense, and the love they lost or never got from their original family, the family of origin, their parents, etc., and which was the inception of all of this in the first place, love is love. So they know once love comes into play, I need to clam up. I need to bring the defenses, the riot gear, the riot helmet, the bulletproof vest, right? The shield, the armor. I can't let anything penetrate. I can't let anything in, because I'm still vulnerable from then. You got to understand, childhood creates your worldview. Whatever happens in that house that you grew up in, that's how you view the world. That's what you expect of other people. That's the expectations. And with expectations, sometimes you get what you're looking for. And that goes into the attraction. That goes into the attraction energy. When you're unhealed, people who feel right to you are not feeling right. They're feeling they're feeling familiar. It's familiarity. It's not an actual attraction based on what you actually want for yourself. And case in point, in a lot of these situations, I'll connect with people and ask, okay, who are in relationships that are similar to this, and I'll say, all right, so what? Let's just back up. What are your standards? What are your non-negotiables? What is your list of things that you want in a partner, that you deserve in a partner, that you would want, just perfect world, right? That list, 9 times out of 10, the person that they're with doesn't even have half of that list. So if the feeling of attraction to somebody meant that they were right for you, why do those relationships fail? And why do those people you're attracted to have nothing to do with your own list of standards that you say you want in a partner? But the problem is, when we have that emotional reasoning and we emotionally connect to somebody, that list go out the window, because we're leading with the feelings, and those feelings are skewed because fear has a tricky way of manipulating your feelings, only to push you into familiar spaces that are toxic and destructive. Why? Because the mind does not like to be shocked. So it will, by virtue of emotional reasoning, make you feel like something makes sense and push you in that direction, because that person is likely to do the same thing to you that the last person did back to your original family of origin. So we got to be clear. We got to be clear on that, and we got to start counteracting the fear mechanism, because it gets out of control. And as you can see, it can 5, 6, 7 years old. It can go it can last since then. For a lot of you, some of these mechanisms have lasted since then. Abandonment issues, trust issues, self-esteem, codependency, right? Rescuer mentality. I wrote a whole book on this stuff. So it lasts. It carries. It informs your decisions when you match. And I take this serious for a lot of reasons, because if you match with a toxic individual, you match with the wrong person who is self-destructive, whether abusive, narcissistic, or whatever, this could mean, very much could mean, life or death. So this is not a game, when it comes to picking not only stable partners, but healthy and whole people who are on that evolution journey with you. People who are, even before you meet them, are working on themselves, are doing the best that they can to grow, to have self-awareness, to want to evolve, to have accountability for their part in their tragic relationship cycle or toxic dating cycle that they've been in, or just being able to analyze the failures of their past relationships and realize, okay, what part did I play? What's the commonalities? What are the common denominators? Each relationship, I keep hitting the same wall. Where is that coming from, right? And working against it so that you can end the cycle and then subsequently heal up and connect with the right person that does exemplify your standard list. That most people can rattle off all of the qualities they want in a partner. Why can't you get that? You got a lot of qualities. Why can't you get somebody that matches your qualities, right? It starts by not choosing people who don't have them. And I think, that's one thing I usually recommend is, like, write that list out when you're not dating anybody. Exhaustive, meaning as many things as you can possibly think of. And then from there, whenever you date, if you want to get back in the game, whenever you actually date and you feel yourself connected to somebody, you better pull that list out and check that person's qualities against the list that you set up. And I say do it before you start dating anybody, because you may write it according to the person that you're dating. I don't want the emotional reasoning to push you into, manipulate you into writing according to what's available just so you can connect. Like, I want it to be done in isolation, but nobody's on deck, no options, dry phone, right? And I promise you that it'll put things in perspective, and it'll help you get into the practice of rejecting people who don't have the qualities that you're looking for, or who match the issues that you've run into in the past so many times. It's going to set you right. And then here's the thing: once you start to get used to rejecting what's not right, while simultaneously growing and learning and growing, within yourself, you will create a new normal, which includes adequate boundary setting and enforcing boundaries. I think when we talk about boundaries, sometimes we talk about friendships and stuff like that, but I think relationships it goes hand in hand. Like dating, it goes hand in hand. I think enforcing boundaries is important, because so many times we let somebody in. We have blurry boundaries, right? So it's like you say, all right, one day it's like, I want a relationship. And then you meet somebody who like, I don't want that. And you're like, all right, cool. All right, so what do you want? You start negotiating. All right, so we're going to do we're going to hang out a little bit. We're going to have sex a little bit. And then, but we're not going to be in public. But then we're going to go out. Then we're not going to claim each other on social media. But you know, I could talk to people and you could talk to people, but we together, but we not. You just get into a whole extra realm of just nonsense. And at the end of the day, it's not what you wanted in the first place. So why negotiate with something that's below your asking price? You know what I'm saying? We got to be hard negotiators in this dating world. We have to sit down and say, look, this is the price. This is where we at. I'm not going below that. I'm not going to shift what I want. How can you shift what you want based on somebody else? That means that you must either really not want it, or you must value connecting with somebody over getting what you deserve. And then the question would be, do you really think you deserve what you're asking for? Is that why you keep leaving it alone? Is that why you keep changing it? Is that why it's changeable? If you don't think you deserve it yet, then there's some inner work to do as well to figure out, where does that come from, right? So it's all a learning experience. There's no judgment on it. You know, we all come from different walks of life, different families. We're set in different directions. We deal with things differently. We process differently. But my goal for anybody watching this now and in the future is, you know, just to be able to progress, to be able to grow, to be able to manifest every last thing that we came here to get, including the healthy, whole partner that we can grow with and evolve with and share time with, you know, share a connection with, share honesty and transparency with, as well as emotional intimacy without any backlash or any need to gaslight our partners, and put them in mental harm's way, and be just a negative impact on their psyche in general. So, you know, thank you guys for watching on a Friday. Really appreciate you guys. Hopefully you have a great weekend. I will be back tomorrow night. Definitely, if you would like any coaching, any strategies, www.patreon.com/happinessdecoded. And you can check the links in the bio as well. And feel free to donate as well. Much appreciated that to anybody who's been donating and checking in, and supporting the show. It's much appreciated. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a great weekend. Check out that SWV and Escape versus tomorrow. I will be doing a show. I will be doing a pre-show for the versus. I'll be doing a pre-show on YouTube, as well as the other platforms. And I'm bringing a co-host in. We just gonna vibe out. You know, we gonna rate the songs. We gonna rate the albums. We're gonna debate. We gonna really get it right for this one. So it's a major joint. So definitely stay tuned. You know, keep the notifications on. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. And I will see you tomorrow evening.